how to live with dysfunctional family members. I'm Jessica Go, trauma coach in childhood abuse, and there are 3 things that you need to know for you to get to the other side. And the first thing is boundaries. So boundaries are needed for you to turn any dysfunctional relationship into a functional one. So just to give you a couple examples, just for you to get clarity around this, for me personally, I started to minimize communication and contact with my mother because we had an extreme bonding. So to put it into perspective, a healthy family dynamic has boundaries. That's the parent, that's the child. These are the models that we play in the household. But it becomes dysfunctional when you have a manipulative and overprotective mother coming at you and she enmeshes you with all of her shit. And that's exactly what has happened to me. Or you have an opposite sex parent and they put you up on a pedestal and you become idolized and be their partner. So these are just classic examples how a relationship in the family dynamic can become very dysfunctional and create all sorts of havoc on the child with their self-esteem. So just coming back with boundaries with my mother, I was able to minimize contact. I had to start minimizing contact in order for me to heal myself first. It's really crucial that you focus on your journey ahead by healing yourself from the inside out, by letting go of the pain and the trauma. And the more we minimize contact while we're healing, the easier it is for you to get clarity in how to approach the situation when you have let go of the pain, where you have become less anxious and more conscious and more aligned with the true nature of yourself and not the guilt and the anger and the betrayal from your childhood conditioning. The other way I create boundaries with my mother is through the communication. So even though there was a lack or little communication in the beginning of my healing journey, if I was to communicate her, I made sure I had boundaries in place. So if I was gonna be on the phone with her, the maximum I would be on the phone with her would probably be 1 minute, right? Because that's all my nervous system can take of her. So I make sure when we talk, it only goes for 1 minute max or 5 minute max, right? And this might be the same for you, right? You need to start creating boundaries. How much time can you give to your parents or your siblings in order for you to stay sane, right? While you're healing. So the more you heal, the easier this becomes, and you can start to extend the time maybe to 20 minutes maximum, right? So that's the first step, boundaries. Start writing down a list where your boundaries have been broken. A broken boundary is that you're being shut down and you're not being heard. This is something that's really common. So what boundary can you put in place where you feel respected and heard? So that could be communicating your truth from an assertive yet neutral way, not from a triggered reactive way, but from a neutral assertive way. A place of the adult, not the wounded inner child. So that's one example how you can restore boundaries. And the second thing is communicating your needs. If you don't communicate your needs, they will keep breaking your boundaries. So if it's really difficult for you to communicate to your parents face-to-face or over the phone, I suggest that you write a letter, a 1-page letter, and just outlining, just get straight to the point, keep it short and simple. Don't get into the story, right? Story just creates more havoc and confusion. Just get straight to the point. And this is exactly what I've done with my mum. I gave her 2 letters, not 1 but 2, and on different occasions. And I've noticed every time I gave her a letter, her attitude towards me has improved. I detailed in that 1-page letter what is bothering me regarding to her behavior and actions from the past, what resolution that I'm looking for, and ending it with a sweet and loving message that I want to move forward with it. So, for example, in one letter I would say, "Dear Mum, I want to let you know that it's important for you to understand why I had so much anger issues in the past and a hot temper. I suffered from sexual abuse from your brother, where he looked at me, touched me, and whistled at me inappropriately when I was a teenager. I almost went crazy at the age of 18 when I protected you from Dad from being hit, and you laughed at me and criticized me instead of supporting me after he hit me. I've spent so much time and money in therapy and self-development trying to heal my pain, and I would appreciate it if you could stop criticizing me, to just accept me as I am, to stop treating me like an ATM and constantly asking me for money to pay this and that for you. I just want to have a mother-daughter relationship with you. That is all I ask of you. And I love you. Love, Jessica, your daughter." So that's an example of one letter that I've written to my mother, and she received it very well because she changed her behaviors, her thoughts towards me. And yes, there's still more room for improvement, and that's with anything in life. But it's gone to the point where I can now see her for one-to-one catch-ups without getting triggered or reactive. It's easier for me to hold a conversation with her over the phone, and it's easier for me to call her because I want to. Not because it's out of obligation, it's because it comes from my heart. So that's the point where we all need to be if we want to restore our relationships with our family members. And yes, this will take time, but the more you work on yourself, the more your perspective that you have on that family member will shift, and that relationship will naturally and organically shift, where your family member will start to treat you differently because you're not caught up in the past. You're not as anxious as you were before. You're not in a fearful and disempowered place. So the more you release trauma and the impacts of it, the more you become more conscious. You start to operate from an adult place, not from a wounded child place. You can calm down your triggers and reactivity a lot more. You have a lot more awareness as to what's happening inside of you and in this conversation with the other person. So it's really crucial that you communicate your needs. And the third thing is, if you're living with your parents, you need to start creating a plan, a path for you to heal yourself so you can be independent and not codependent with your parents, to the point where you can move out and live on your own. And it's going to help you in the long run to be independent in a healthy and conscious way. So if you're struggling with this, and I know this is a real big issue for so many people out there who are living with their parents, I suggest that if it's a real struggle for you to move out because you're crippled with depression or anxiety, I suggest that you need to start healing yourself first. And that's through trauma recovery, making peace with your past, letting go of the pain, lower your anxiety levels and anger levels, fall out of panic attacks and nightmares, right? All these things. This is so crucial if you want to move forward in your relationship with your family members. So if this serves you and you would like to find out more information, click on the link below to join me on my webinar called Overcome the Impacts of Childhood Abuse in just 3 months. And if the information resonates with you and you feel like, you know what, I'm ready to take myself out of this hole and misery and finally get to the other side and be my own person again, then that's when you book in a free clarity call with myself to see if trauma recovery is right for you. So I hope this serves you, and please make sure you subscribe to my YouTube video, and you're welcome to leave a comment in what you got out of it. I hope this serves you, my love, and all my love to you.